Folks, as you may have guessed, this is the end of our show, and I'm really grateful that you're all able to make it out for this. Here's, as promised, I'll do the eulogy. This is the eulogy I wrote for my father, and I'm going to do it as precisely as I did it in the Good Shepherd Chapel. So I hope you all enjoy it. And take it easy. It's not a serious thing. That's how my dad would have preferred it. Before we had the care package put in place, Dad's MS was bad, but he could still do a lot of things on his own. Writing, mostly. Just so everyone in here knows, Dad wrote until the end. He literally never stopped writing. As far up as a few weeks ago, I saw him up and writing at the laptop. On Christmas Day. I know professional, published, able-bodied poets who are lazier than that. Anyway, at this point, me and Catherine were set on the task of preparing Dad's midday snack. Dad usually had a black coffee with a single chocolate chip cookie. Catherine had to make Dad's coffee, and I had the extremely complicated task of getting the cookie. I would always try and distract Catherine, or try to convince her to put the hot coffee in a glass instead of a mug, just to see if we could get a reaction out of Dad. I actually did that once. He didn't think it was funny. So anyway, we dropped the goods off at his desk, and we both scurried back up the stairs when we heard, Wait, where's the fucking cookie? Me and Catherine both froze and looked at each other like frightened deer caught in the headlights, until we heard, oh wait, here it is. And that was Dad. One morning, me and Dad were eating cereal, and he took the notion to explain to me how he felt that red squirrels were getting real hard done by gray squirrels. I agreed with Dad because red squirrels were being massively displaced in the population by gray squirrels, but I didn't really think of Dad as particularly caring about nature or being a conservationist. Anyway, when I came home from school that day, I walked into the hallway and there was Dad, sitting at the computer working away. So I walked up to him and I peered over his shoulder to see what he was working on the computer. And what I saw was a pearly photoshopped image of a gray squirrel wearing an SS officer's uniform standing over a red squirrel that was in striped pajamas. This was Dad. This was Dad. I remember seeing the Pixar film Up with him and Mum while it was still in cinemas. I remember so vividly watching him cry at the montage of the old man growing old and losing his wife to disease. A lot of guys wouldn't have cried in front of their sons, but that was Dad. Dad was different. Dad gave it to me real. That side of Dad, the soft, sensitive side, I know it wasn't everyone's experience with Dad, but it was mine. When I went to a special needs school for my special needs, I used to come home from school, I was exhausted, I was out of it, and he used to let me lie on his armchair where he would lie, being disabled, and we would just cuddle, you know? And that really did a lot for me at that point in time. Dad once told me the story of a blues guitarist called Robert Johnson. The story goes, as Dad explained it to me, Robert was walking through the local crossroads when he came across the devil. The devil offered him immense fame and talent in exchange for the price of his soul. Robert sold his soul to the devil so that he could become the greatest blues guitarist of all time. So I asked Dad, was this in the Bible? This was not in the Bible. But I always thought there was a reason Dad told me the story. Dad followed in the footsteps of a great man, my grandfather, Sean Gibson. Not completely, of course. They disagreed on a whole lot, and Dad wasn't much of one for getting a doctorate. Granddad used his medical profession to assist many people over his lifetime, and for every patient he healed, Dad made one laugh. And I think there's a phrase or something about laughter and medicine, but I can't remember. Folks, I'm going to finish this the only way I know how, with a poem. Obviously, this poem is dedicated to Dad, but I know he wouldn't really care about that if I didn't dedicate it to the person who let him be the man who I see him as. Mum, you're by far the strongest person I've ever known, seen, or heard of. The way you took care of that man, the way you took care of me and my sisters, and how you love that man in the only way that he can be loved. You deserve a rest more than anyone, and I know Dad would be proud to hear that I want to be just like you when I grow up. I love you. This is a poem by A.E. Houseman. It's called Shropshire Lad XL. Into my heart an air that kills from yon far country blows. What are those blue remembered hills? What spires, what farms are those? That is the land of lost content. I see it shining plain, the happy highways where I went and cannot come again.